Hey guys, Carl from Moose Plays. Today I'm taking a look at Aquaria from designer Tomáš Holek and publishers Capstone Games and Delicious Games. I should also point out here, as this is a solo channel, as this is a game from Delicious Games, this was developed also by Vladimír Suchý, and the solo mode in this game is also designed by Vladimír Suchý as well. This is a sort of action selection game where you're taking a variety of different actions, collecting oxygen to place fish into your aquarium. Although I say fish, it's also fish and anemone and also plants into your aquarium to generate more oxygen. You're also gathering different kinds of fish food to feed the fish, ultimately to generate points, while also going up on different tracks on the board, generating points in different ways. Ultimately, of course, with the goal to score the most points at the end of the game. Disclaimer, I was given a review copy of this game by the publisher, but as always, I will do my best to give you my own honest opinion on the game. With that said, let's head down to the table to see how the solo mode in this one plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. To set up a solo game of Aquaria, begin by building the main board on the table. And I say building because the main board is broken up into these small puzzle pieces, and I am going to randomly arrange these into the main board. Next, I need to take the encyclopedia board, this one here, setting it matching the player side for our player count. In this case, I am playing solo, so I will use this side of the board like that. And then once the boards are placed out on the table, I need to sort of fill in all of the important spaces or important pieces of the board. First, starting here on the main board, there are these sort of bonus tracks that do go into the slots on that board. They are double-sided. One side has 5 options. The other side has 4. For the solo game, we will use the 4 side, and these are going to get randomly placed into those different spaces, setting these dials in these locations such that they are pointing towards this gray bordered space here in the second position. Next, I'm going to take these 4 active color tiles, flipping them all face down and mixing them up good, and then I'm going to place them out randomly in these 4 spaces face up, so that we can see what each of the 4 round active colors will be. Next, on the encyclopedia track, I need to place tokens out on each of these large circles on the board. You'll see that some of them are circled with a red border and some of them are not. There are 2 different types of tokens. Here are the tokens with the red borders. These all have different things on the front side of them with a 4-point on the back. I'm going to mix these up and put them randomly face up on all of the red bordered spaces. And the rest of those will get placed back into the box, and I will again do the same thing with the non-red bordered spaces using these pieces instead. Again, placing all of those face up, or as many needed as face up, in all of these spaces. This will be our starting space, so I do not need to put any token there, but the rest of these will be filled in with these tokens. And just like with the red bordered tokens, the rest of those will also be returned to the box. Then off to the side of the board, I've got resources for the game. We've got pearls over here, and then 3 different colors of food. I'll just stick those over here on the side. I also need to place out a variety of different bonus tokens that will get placed into the filter on our player board later on. And I'm just going to try and fit those in over here and over here where possible. We also need to set up these sort of card market. And to do that, we're going to do 2 different things. First, I need to separate out these lionfish cards, giving those a good shuffle, and I'm going to deal out 2 of these per player. So in the case of the solo mode, that's myself and the AI. So I will be dealing out 4 of these cards. 1, 2, 3, and 4 like that. And I'll move things around on camera as needed in just a second. But then I will take the rest of the fish cards, or realistically aquarium cards, because they're not all fish, but I'm going to take those cards, give those a good shuffle. And actually, I'm going to rearrange this. We'll put 2 of these over here like that, because I need to make 2 rows of 3 cards, and I think I can do that down below here like that. And just to get things on screen again, let me just slide that over a little bit more like that. Then finally, we need to set up the player areas. For myself, I'm simply going to lay out this aquarium board onto table. And again, things will need to shift just a bit to fit everything on screen like that. Good. And then onto my player board, I need to put out trackers or sort of dials in each of these empty holes. And each of those dials should be set to the opposite direction of the active color for the first round. So the first round is a green color. So for example, for this dial, opposite green is yellow. Over here, opposite green is yellow. But over here, for example, opposite green is blue, and so on. So always setting each of these dials pointing opposite the green space like that, and then I will go ahead and fill in the rest. Then next I need to take all of the pieces of my player color. I will be playing as white. I've got this white die, which I'll just set there for right now. And I've got these different trackers. One of the trackers goes at the start of the score track. The oxygen level will start at 4. I will put 1 at the start of the encyclopedia track, 1 at the bottom of the pet track, and the other will be placed in a minute over here on the player order track, but I don't know who's going first yet, so we're going to leave it at that. And actually those are going to be in the way, so I'll just stick those right now there. Because the next thing I need to have are wool filter tiles, and what that means are these tiles right here. These are going to be used to fill in this filter section down here on my board, so I'm just going to sort of set them off to the side of the board over here like this. The other thing that I might possibly need are these score sort of multipliers or additives. So this is 50 or 100, and this is 150 or 200. And if I do end up getting my score that high, I will use those. So I'm just going to set them off to the side of the screen for right now. And again, I'll pull those in as needed moving into gameplay. As this is the solo mode and I will be playing against the solo automa or automated opponent, I need this stack of solo tiles, and I'll give those a good shuffle. And the AI opponent is not actually going to be playing in the game. Really, it's just going to be sort of messing up the board or sort of changing the board on me. It's going to be taking away some of these lionfish cards from me. It will also be sort of sniping me or taking away some of these tokens from me or taking away my chance to get said tokens. And it could also be competing with me for having completed this whole track first. So there's no real need for any sort of space on the screen for the automa. So I'm just going to set this stack of tiles right over here with enough space down here that I can flip them over on their turn. And they will also need a die and a marker. And this marker, again, is simply to go on here on the encyclopedia track because they will be competing. I say competing, but they're not going to score, but competing with me on that track to get to things first. They will also need a die because they will be placing out on the board, just like I do. So I'm just going to set that right there. It will go away as soon as we start the first turn of the game. Then for me to finish complete final setup, I will take one of these player aids. This is dual-sided. It is just a sort of overview of how the game scores. And I will use this in a minute to walk you through the scoring because it's going to make more sense how to play the game if you understand why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. But this is the normal scoring side. And this is the advanced scoring side, which adds a little bit higher points for some of these set collection type things and also scores this extra scoring condition at the bottom. I will be playing on the advanced mode today, but I'll explain that in just a minute. So let me just stick that right there. And then finally, we will need these tiles. These tiles are sort of a player aid on one side, but the other side is going to be the turn order initiative for the first round, as well as your starting resources for the game. So the way this works is I'm going to shuffle these up. I will draw 2 for myself and 1 for the AI. I'm going to first look at my 2 and decide which one I will take. And then I will take a look at the AI's tile. And the AI's tile, again, is just going to show me the turn order for the AI. But one last thing I do need to do before I make that decision is that I need to deal myself 5 aquarium cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll just set those over here on the side so you can see what I've got. And again, if space ever becomes at a premium, I can move things around off screen and so on. Like I don't really need the scoring card there at all times. And that works pretty well just like that. So with that, we are all set up for gameplay except for these guys right here. So let's take a look and see which one I'm going to take. This is a number 2 that gives me a pearl, 1 yellow food, 1 green food, and lets me rotate 1 dial. And this is a 4 that gives me a pearl, a card, and 1 extra oxygen. And looking at these two things, I don't know that I need a ton of cards right now. So I am going to focus on this one because the 2 also means potentially that I get to go before the AI. So let's take that one, which means from the supply I will take 1 pearl, 1 yellow food, 1 green food, and then I get to rotate 1 dial. And so let me sort of explain what that is before I do it so you understand, and then I'll get into how the game plays. But each of these dials is going to be able to be rotated. And the point is that at the end of any given round, for any dial that matches the color of that round, which in this case is green, I will get whatever the bonus shown under that thing is. And knowing that I can get some big stuff going up here, knowing that I can get some stuff going over here, I'm kind of looking at maybe this filter one and also at this encyclopedia track. Yeah, let's take an encyclopedia track. These always rotate clockwise. So I'm going to rotate that once clockwise as shown on that tile. That tile now flips over and becomes a player aid, which I might as well keep right here so I can help to explain how each of the rounds goes. We also will then flip over the AI. They are 3, so because I took the 2 and not the 4, I am going first. So I will put my player marker there, and I forgot one for the AI, so they will place theirs second right there, like that. And with that, we are all set up for gameplay. So let's get into how the game plays, and then we'll go ahead and get started with our gameplay. So a game of Aquaria is going to play out over a series of 4 rounds, as shown here by these 4 trackers on the board. And during each round, we're each going to take 4 turns. And I say take turns, but the AI isn't really doing anything except getting in my way and messing things up for me. But we're going to use these dice to take turns. And these dice are basically sort of worker placement, although we're not blocking, so it's not true worker placement, it's more action selection. But this is going to be what I'm using to select my action. And the numbers on the dice will never be rolled. I'm simply going to rotate the die to that face to show that that's how many actions I've taken, to remember how many actions I've taken on a turn. And on the first action, I can place anywhere I want to, means on any of these 5 spaces or in the middle of the board. And if I place in the middle of the board, I need to select one of the 3 sort of regions in the middle of the board to place. And on the starting turn, it's not going to matter. I'm just going to place out and get whatever it shows at the location where I placed. On future turns, let's say, for example, I placed here on my first turn. On future turns, I'm going to then take that and move somewhere else. I can never take the same action 2 turns in a row. And I can place it anywhere I'd like to. But the bonus is, if I move this die to a location that is adjacent to where I currently am, means these 2 circles or the center, I get some kind of bonus action. Now, the center doesn't have a special kind of bonus action because the center is adjacent to everything on the board, although the center does have this additional action printed here down at the bottom of the circle. But if I move into one of these adjacent spaces, I will also get whatever bonus this arrow is pointing to. And then regardless of whether or not I get that bonus, I'm going to rotate that to the right. And you'll see that's what I mean by the AI getting in my way, because while they're not taking actions and they're not blocking me from taking actions, they will be changing these bonus actions every time they place at a location. So let me go ahead and explain what the different actions are. Starting here in the top left, this is simply going to get me more oxygen on the oxygen track. So a normal placement will get me to oxygen. And then you'll see that each of these wheels has additional sections on them that have a pearl or several pearls printed on them. And that means that if I pay the number of pearls shown on that space, I will instead get that bonus. So here is +2 oxygen. But if I pay a single pearl, I can get 4 oxygen here. If I pay 3 pearls, I can get 7 oxygen plus 1 point at that location. And then what am I using the oxygen for? Well, let's jump over to this wheel then. If I place here, I can play one of the cards from my hand into my aquarium. If I spend 1 pearl, I can play 2 cards. If I spend 4 pearls, I can play 3 cards and score 3 points. So how do I place cards into my aquarium? When I place a card into my aquarium, I can place it anywhere I'd like to. There's no sort of placement rules aside from I'm placing it into the aquarium. But when I'm placing out cards, there are a couple of things that I should look at on the card. First, down here, it shows the type of card. There are 4 different types of card. This is an anemone. There are clownfish cards, there are schools of fish, and there are plants, like seen here. And they're all going to have different sort of scoring goals or sort of things that I want to consider as I'm placing them out. But they will all sort of function in a similar way. First, I need to pay whatever the cost shown here in the top right corner is in oxygen. And you'll see, for example, this one is 5 oxygen. The plants, you will notice here, never have an oxygen cost because the plants are actually generating oxygen, which I'll talk about in just a minute. The clownfish have a special that their cost in oxygen is actually reduced by 1 for every anemone that they're placed next to. So you can actually decrease the cost of a clownfish by placing them in your aquarium next to anemone. And then finally, the schools of fish, just like the anemone, have a price or a cost in oxygen printed here in the top right corner. And then after you've done that, you place it into your aquarium and you're going to trigger whatever it shows down here in the bottom right corner. These wheels means I'm going to rotate those dials on my board. But you'll see that some of these, like this one here, has an arrow pointing to the right and down. That means if I play this card in a specific spot, I can only manipulate the dials here directly to the right of that, means the same row as that, or here directly below it in the same column. So this allows me to split up this 2 rotations as in any way I'd like to between these 2 dials. You will see though that the next one down here simply shows the dial movement with no arrow, and that means I can move any dial at all. This one here means that I will place one of these wool filter tokens onto my filter. What else is? Some of them will simply have resources like this pearl and this food. This white slash here means I get to choose either of them. These over here are going to be sort of bonus tokens that get placed into my filter. And the reason is, whenever I manage to fill this up, at the end of that turn, I will trigger anything that is written in this filter. And that means that there are all of these different tokens over here. And again, for example, this one here will allow me to place out a blue token. So in that case, I could choose this 3-point or this +1 oxygen, slotting that into this track here so that every time after that I trigger this filter, I will be adding that to the bonuses that I receive for having done so. And I'm not going to explain all of those individually, but I will explain all of the icons on them. The other 2 things that you should see right now from these cards are this coral right here means we're moving up 1 space on the encyclopedia track, which I will show you in just a second. But anything you see here with a hand is something that you don't receive when placing that card into the aquarium, but instead, at the end of every round, you will receive that as income. This is a sort of income icon. And that 1 encyclopedia simply means I get to move to the next space on this track. I can never go backwards, but anytime I get to a split like this, I can choose 1 direction to go to. We're always working our way towards the end here. And when I do get to this end space, I will then get put over here, and that means whichever order I arrive there, either first or second, I will score 12 points or 8 points for having finished that track at the end of the game. But along the way, any of these big spaces I land on, if there's still a token there, I will take that token and it will give me a 1-use sort of ability I can use on a future turn or even later on that turn. But if I do not use that ability by the end of the game, those will flip over and I'll score a number of points equal to whatever it shows on the back. And it's worth pointing out that all of the regular ones are worth 3 points and all of the ones with the red circle on them are worth 4 points. Then looking at all of the icons on these over here, they all sort of make sense, except this one here tells me I get to draft 1 card. And whenever I draft a card here, I can draft from the 6 face up or 1 from the top. And the only other icon you haven't seen yet on these is this one right here. And this connects to the encyclopedia track as well. And what this says is, I am going to trigger the bonus of whatever space my piece is currently on. So you'll see that these big circles have this sort of tab on the side. That is one of the bonuses. So if I was here and I triggered that ability, I would get to rotate 1 dial once. You'll see that the small circles themselves are the sort of bonus ability when triggered. And as I said, the big ones have this tab to the side, but it also shows the same thing inside the circle as well. So that's the placing cards action. This next wheel over here is going to allow me to draft for normal, for free, 2 cards from here, plus 1 food of my choice. Spending 1 pearl gets me 3 cards and 2 food, and 2 pearls gets me 3 food, 3 cards, and 2 points. This is now back to our encyclopedia track. This moves once up the encyclopedia track. For a pearl, I can move up twice, and for 2 pearls, I can move up 3 times. And then finally, the last of these big circles is this one, which is unique. This is the pet shop track over here. And what this says is I can choose to either discard 2 cards from my hand, and I should clarify that has to be 2 cards of the same color from my hand in order to move up 1 space on this track. When I do that, I'm going to trigger whatever the bonus is of that sort of top rectangle of the space. But if instead of discarding 2 cards of the same color, I discard 3 cards of the same color, in addition to triggering that top banner, I also get my choice of either of these 2 bottom actions as well. Then finally, in the center of the board, at the top, I can basically choose to do a little bit of whatever I want. Discard 2 cards to move up here, means I can't do the fancy version. Take 2 cards and a food, which is this. Place 1 card, which is this. Move up once on the track, which is that. 2 oxygen, which is this one over here. So I've got access to everything from the center, but only the standard version of it. Or I can take a pearl and 2 food, or a pearl and 1 of these wool filter tiles. Again, remembering that if I move to an adjacent location, I also trigger whatever the bonus is currently pointing at. And regardless of whether or not I triggered the bonus, this will turn. And again, we're going to do this over 4 rounds. And some of these things will reset, but let me walk you through the rest of the round. So again, here first I'm placing out, we're taking turns 4 times, placing out and taking actions. The next thing we're going to do is check the dials. Remembering for every dial that matches the color of that round, I will get whatever the bonus is that's printed next to that dial. And it's worth pointing out, as shown here, in the 4th round, instead of taking that bonus, I can take 2 points for each dial that's matching. After doing that, we're going to check player order. And in the solo game, the way this works is, if I've managed to connect at least 5 of these dials to the color of that round, I will be first in the next round. And if not, then the AI will go first in the next round. Then after that, as you see here by that hand, we will collect any income on cards that we've placed out here into our aquarium. Then each of these cards, each of the aquarium cards that we've placed out, has the potential to score points. Some of them will simply score those points each round. But some of them are going to require me to spend some kind of food, as shown here, to score the points that are printed there. And those will either be a single food, or in the case of a card like this one here, double food in order to score those points. Then to finally sort of reset the round and move to the end, as long as it isn't the 4th round, because the 4th round, that is the end of the game. But in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round, we will do 6 and 7. 6 as we reset these bonus tracks. Whichever bonus track has moved the least forward, means whichever is closest to the left side, will reset all the way back to the red track. And at that point, if there was one that was already at the red track, you would add 1 pearl to that action to make it sort of more attractive to take. If more than one of them is tied, all of those will get turned back to the red spot. And then everything else that wasn't the furthest back will simply reset to the gray spot. And then also, we are going to reset the market by removing all 6 of these cards and then refreshing by placing out 6 more of those cards to start the next round. And now through my action turns, again, I will be alternating with the AI, but I'll show you how that works as the AI takes their turn, because they're simply just going to flip over the tile and do whatever it says. So I'll explain those as that happens. But that's basically all there is for how the game works, but let me quickly run you through the different scoring things so you have some idea of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. First, at the end of the game, for every pearl and for every filter token that's still placed onto your filter track, you will score 1 point each. You will score points equal to the level of where you are on the oxygen track based on these points. And you'll see the bottom 3 sections here do score negative points. I should also point out while doing that, anytime I trigger this track, I will score all of those bonuses. Plus, at that moment, I will also score that oxygen track. We will score points based on this completion of the encyclopedia track if we have completed it. We will score points, 1 point per every 3 food that's still remaining in our supply. 3 points for every completed row and column on this board. And then we will score points for the unspent tokens from the encyclopedia track. Now, lionfish. This is the last thing I didn't talk about. Anytime we reach one of these 3 spots on the encyclopedia track, or when I fill in this spot on my filter, or when I reach this spot on the pet track, I will draft one of these lionfish. And they work just like every other fish, except that they only score points at the end of the game based on one of the 2 conditions shown here. So this one will score 6 points 6 points or 3 points per school of fish card. This one is 6 points or 3 for every row and column. This is 6 points or 3 for every green card. And this is 6 points or 3 for every clownfish. And it's worth mentioning that 3 per whatever scoring maxes out at 15 points. And I'm only ever going to be able to draft 2 of those. So even if I manage to do all 3 of those things, I still only get 2 of them. And after the 3rd round, the AI will randomly remove one of those. And after the 4th round starts, the AI will randomly remove the other one of those. So that's what this scoring is here. Then every anemone in my aquarium will score 3 points for every clownfish that is adjacent to it. I will score points for connected, orthogonally adjacent, connected sort of chains of schools of fish based on the number of fish that I've got. And then finally, the plants will score based on the number of different colored cards that are adjacent to it. So 2 different colors would be 1, 3 is 3 points, and 4 is 6 points, like that. And that is basically all there is to the game. I say all there is, but that is quite a bit of stuff. But with that, we are all set to get into gameplay. All right, so what am I trying to do? Looking at the board, I would love to get some plants placed out so I can get some income going. I do see that this clownfish has a green food income, which would be nice to have. And they are free for scoring every round, except they do cost 7, and I only have 4. And I don't expect that I'm gonna be able to get a ton of oxygen going. Although, if I start in the middle and do this sort of loop, that might end up working out if I can get that +1. So let's start by, yeah, all right, first turn, I'm going to the middle. I'm intending that because then I can do adjacent, adjacent, adjacent in that order. And I'm thinking that because I'd love to move up on the pet shop track as well and get some stuff going, because I will have lots of cards that I might not necessarily need, but let's see what happens. I'm going there and taking 2 oxygen. End of my turn. AI takes their first turn, which is this right here, which says they're placing on the encyclopedia track space and moving 2 spaces, choosing right direction in sort of branched paths on there. So they're going to place their 1 on this location, rotating that. Again, they don't interact with that in any way, so the bonus doesn't mean anything to them. And they're going to move 2 spaces favoring right turns. So there and then here, and they're simply just removing those from the game when they take them. And that worked out very nicely because now I can come here, which will get me a pearl or 1 oxygen. And I do want that 1 oxygen. Because if I do this clownfish later, that could be a very good thing to have. Then the question is, do I take 2 cards and 1 food, or 3 cards and 2 food? Because I do have a pearl to spend, but I would like to be able to place 2 cards next time, so I need to make sure I have a pearl. And the problem is if they come here next and it rotates, I'll no longer have that pearl. So I think right now I'm not going to need a ton of food because I'm planning on placing out a plant and a clownfish, both of which don't require any food. And this one's even generating food. So I am just going to take the 2 cards. And I want a plant. They both give me oxygen income. This one gets me an extra pearl, and this one gets me an extra oxygen. I think I want to take the pearl. I'll stick that over here. I know it's a little bit crowded, but I'll move things when we get to placement in just a minute. I think 2 will fit there. Yeah, that works. Okay. And the second card then, I get to replace this before taking again. And I am planning on placing out this clownfish, which means I might start placing out some of these anemone and then placing out more clownfish. And I already have 3 anemone, so I don't need another. I'm not sure I'm focused on the schools right now. I'd love to generate these sort of networks of anemone. So let me take this other clownfish card. like that. Yes. That gets replaced. And this should have rotated like that. AI's next turn. They are moving to the pet shop area. And they do nothing except for rotating that like that, which will make things a little bit less fun for me when I get there, but that's okay for right now. Then I am going to come here for my third action, and I am going to spend my pearl so that I can place out 2 cards. And I definitely want to place this plant. And the question is, where do I want to place it? I kind of want to place it on the bottom somewhere. Although, do I? Because then I can only surround it on 3 sides. Whereas if I put it there, I can surround it on 4 sides. But I'm hoping that if I put a clownfish there, I can put an anemone that could score on 4 clownfish, possibly. And I could put another anemone that could score on 4 clownfish, possibly. So somewhere down here, potentially one of these 2 areas is best. This means I can adjust blue or encyclopedia. This one means I can get a card or encyclopedia. I already advanced the encyclopedia once at the beginning. Yeah, let's do this. And I'm just going to, no, because, yeah, more cards is fine. That's going to rotate once from this rotation. I get 1 pearl. And at the end of the round, I will get 1 oxygen income. And I also forgot to take my bonus here, which another pearl might be nice to have. A filter is good, but it takes 5 of them. And I don't know how quickly I'm going to do it, especially since I don't really have anything in there yet. So I am going to take that pearl. Like that, and that is my turn, but this rotates. AI takes their third turn, which says they are moving clockwise around the outer edge, and then if they land on the encyclopedia, they'll do that, and if they land on the cards, they're going to remove the bottom row, slide the top row down, and refill the top row. But going clockwise means they just go to this oxygen area, which means they're just rotating that wheel. I didn't finish my turn. Hold on, back up. I paid to play 2 cards. And the second one I wanted to play was this clownfish, and I will put them there. Which means I do spend all 7 of my oxygen. And then I get to rotate 3 times. Cards are more important than food right now, so that's 1, 2, 3 like that. That was my turn. All right, now I do take a real turn. And I am going to come here for 4, which gets me a food of my choice. And, well, it doesn't matter too much. And doing that, I just realized this wheel has been wrong since the beginning. It should have been facing yellow. I never rotated it. It just started wrong. But then I also get to go up once on the encyclopedia track, and I will have an income of green food. Then I'm going to get rid of 2 or 3 cards, moving up on this track, taking this for sure, and then taking either of the bottom things if I get rid of something. And realistically, if I'm triggering one of the bottom, I'm getting a card back anyway, so there's no reason not to do 3 and then take something in return that I'm getting rid of. So I'm definitely going to get rid of this School of Fish card, and then I'm keeping the clownfish. I'll get rid of 2 anemone and take 1 back again. And I think I'm going to get rid of these 2, and I will replace this one with this one that is almost the same thing, except it requires 2 food, and it does give me 1 point, but it's also cheaper for me to place out. So I'm going to take that back, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I go up, discarding those 3 cards like that, filling that back in because I did take it. But now I should rotate once. I should trigger my bonus here. I should take a point, so let's see what we're doing. Rotating here, if I do this once, it's green, so that's almost good. I wouldn't mind trying to get oxygen. I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to rotate again, though. I don't think so. It means, yeah, I might as well do this then, just so I get something else. This triggers once, which is a single rotation. Okay, then forget it. I am going to do that. 1, 2, to get the oxygen. I get 1 point. Then I get to choose either a pearl and 2 oxygen, or one of these bonuses and a card. Well, I took the card already. I think I want one of the bonuses. The question is, which one do I want? Moving up on the track, the encyclopedia track is nice to have. but so is extra oxygen. Always extra oxygen is a good thing to have. But let's race up the trek. I'm going to take this encyclopedia bonus, putting it in there like that. That's the end of my 4th turn. Sorry, this should be a 3 for the AI. They take their 4th turn, which is card selection, and they will, again, as I mentioned before, going here, rotating this. They clear the bottom row of cards. Then these all slide down like that, and these flip back over like that. Okay, yes. Then that is the end of the round. We've both taken 4 turns. The first thing I should do is check my dials. This is not green. This is which gets me a card. And I think I want another plant that is not red and not green. So let's take this blue plant. Yeah, sure, take this blue plant. That goes back. Then, this is not green, this is not green, this is green, I go up 1 more here. So I'm not going to chase them because these both have things. This gets me a pearl, this gets me one of these plus a food, and food is going to be important when I start scoring things. So I think I might go up this way because there's lots of red stuff up this. It does make it a little further to get up there, because I could rush that way instead. In any case, I don't need to make that decision now. I will take that token. And again, I can spend that when I choose to, or I can save that and score 3 points at the end of the game. That was this one. This is not green, this is not green. I get an oxygen. So that goes up 1. And that was 1, 2, 3, which is not 5 or more. So the AI is going first in the next round. Then I look at income. I get 1 green food and 1 oxygen. Like that. Then feeding. None of my stuff needs food. The plants don't give me anything. The clownfish scores me 4 points like that. This color gets flipped over. Next round we're aiming for blue. Then the one that has progressed the least, well, this is on the 3rd space, this is the 3rd space, this is the 3rd space, this is the 3rd space, and this is 4th. So everything goes back to red except for this one, which will get turned to gray. We all flip to 0 side. So we're starting where we are. That doesn't change. And then all of these cards go away, and we refill with 6 new cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And as I'm doing that, I remember I should be paying attention to the lionfish cards that are scoring per school of fish, per column or row completed, per green card, and per clownfish. And I sort of started this clownfish anemone thing already. So green cards is good, clownfish are good. Columns and rows could be good if I got a lot of stuff out, but I think I'm focused on those 2. Whether or not I'll get to them, we will see. But AI goes first. So they're going to move to the place a card area, which is here, rotating once like that. Okay, well, having oxygen right now is not a bad idea for me. Yeah, let's do that. We're next to it anyway. I get a filter and an oxygen for placing there. And then I will absolutely spend 1 pearl, rotating this, which gets me 4 more oxygen. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, up to 7. Yay. AI's turn again. They're going counterclockwise again, triggering these 2 actions if they happen to land on one. Counterclockwise means this way, 2. They go back over here, rotating this one. And that is the card selection, so this bottom row does go away. These slide down. And 3 new cards come out. Lots of plants coming. Lots of plants coming. Let's see what we can do. All right. Adjacent to me is this right there, which would get me a filter and a pearl, which is not bad. Here goes up on this track, which I don't want to do because I don't want to get rid of these cards. I do want to play more cards. So I do want to come down here at some point. And I might need food because I'm out of yellow. Although by placing things, I could potentially fix that. I'm trying to think. Do I care? I don't care. Potentially. I want to, yellow is a problem. I should mention here, because I haven't yet, I can always spend 1 pearl to get a card, I can always spend 1 pearl to get a food, and I can always trade 2 of food of one kind for one of another kind. But I think I'm going to go into the middle. I have enough oxygen to place cards out. Charging this up quickly doesn't help too much. Moving up here requires cards that I don't want to spend. I need 4 pearls to place out 3 cards, which unfortunately is not likely to happen. I did realize I just made a mistake because I started here at the beginning of the game and I forgot to take my bonus filter, so I should have 2 filters in actuality. So that could be a pearl and 2 filters. It could be 2 more cards and a food actually, which might not be a bad idea. Yeah, I think that might be the option actually. Okay. Okay. I don't necessarily want another anemone with yellow. Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to come here, which means I do get one of these anyway. And I am going to do the 2 cards and a food. I need a yellow food. For sure. And 2 cards. I kind of want a green plant. This one gets me blue food and a thing, but then only an oxygen. This one gets me a pearl, an income card, and oxygen. You know what? I like this though, because I want to keep going up this track. So we're going to take that for 1. And then I should take a clownfish of some kind. Let's take the cheap one. It does require blue food, which I don't have access to at the moment, but we can get to if we have a chance to. That's my turn. They take their turn. They are going to the center tile, and they are going to move up once to the left on the encyclopedia track. So they come here, and they move to the left. They have a right and left choice here, so they are going in this direction like that. My turn. Now I kind of wish I'd have done it in things in a slightly different order, but that's okay. I'm going to come here and get a pearl or a filter. I'm getting close to filter, so let's do that. This rotates. And I get to play 1 card, but I'm going to play a pearl to play 2 cards. And those 2 cards will be an anemone. I have the 2 yellow food already now. I'm going to play this anemone over here because I'm hoping that I can get clownfish everywhere. And if I put another anemone here, then those will both score off this clownfish, and here if I put another clownfish. That cost me 3 oxygen, 1, 2, 3 like that, which lets me adjust here and here 3 times. And I want blue. So this is 1, 2 to get to, wait a minute, hold on, no. I'm trying to get to blue now. That's 3 right there, but I do need blue food if I'm playing that clownfish. Meanwhile, if I play this, I don't need any food. Yeah, but I want it anyway. 1, 2, 3 is blue food. Then I can choose to either take a pearl and a green food or place out a blue thing. And this is just about to trigger, so let's place out a blue thing. The question is 3 points or 1 oxygen. I think oxygen is going to be worth having. 3 points is big, but I think oxygen is going to be worth having. Now, for my second placement, the question is, this gets me 3, and I do get food now. Yeah, we're going to do this. This gets placed out here. Costs 4, but it's adjacent to 1 anemone. Or do I want to place an anemone here? I can't afford it because that's a 4 and I need 5. Okay, so I'm going to place that there, which lets me change 3 something. This one's already blue. So this is 1, 2, 3 goes to blue as well. Then I can either activate this to get 1 oxygen, or I can get a yellow tag. And I'm going to get a yellow tag because this one lets me rotate once and get a point. And I had to spend 4 minus 1 for that is 1, 2, 3 like that. Yeah, not bad at all. Okay. That's me. AI takes their final turn of the round, simply moving to the oxygen spot over here, rotating that one. Now my turn. Let's see, what do we have? We have the food for this one already. I've got 2 green that I don't need for now. I need blue here, but I'll get blue from this. I could go up encyclopedia if I go to the middle and trigger this. But, no, I was gonna say I could place out one of these to get this to go up again before I trigger it, but I can't, huh? If I spend 3 cards and go up here, I could do that. Adding one more thing, getting a lionfish card out. And I haven't placed any of my green cards out yet. That also gets me a food and a pearl, because I only have 1 oxygen. So the only thing I could place out now would be these 2 plants, which would get me a ton of oxygen in the next turn though. And it would trigger this, which would also push me up there. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it, let's do it. I gotta get this to a blue. Yeah, that's not gonna happen, but watch this. All right, we are gonna go here. As expected, means this fills in and will trigger in a minute. Then, I wanna leave this space for a clownfish, potentially, this green clownfish. So, I'm gonna put this blue plant here, which will rotate this anemone once. Or sorry, the encyclopedia track once. This is already set to blue, so that's cool. That gets me 1 oxygen. And now I'll get more oxygen income. And then this other green plant, I guess, is gonna get placed over here. It's only gonna score 2 points though, or 1 point. I might stick that over here instead. But that's blue. It doesn't help me. I mean, realistically, I could just put another clownfish here and hopefully there's an anemone there and then that works anyway. So yeah, let's just do that. I get a blue food. I get to go up once on the encyclopedia track. And which direction am I going? Again, this way is faster to the exit. But this way gets lots of stuff along the way. I still think faster is better. And getting a card instead of 1 oxygen might be the better choice. So let's do that. That's the end of that round. This comes off and we trigger. So I get a pearl and a card. And let's see. What am I collecting? I don't really need any more plants. They don't score me any points except the end of the game. So more clownfish would be nice. Let's see. This one's cheaper. It scores more points if I can feed it. Yes. That gets refilled. Then I go up once here. So I get this token as well. Then I get an oxygen. And that's it, but I'm gonna score oxygen. Unfortunately, that's nothing. So that's a wash, but that's at least safe. I didn't lose any points for having done that. And that is my turn. That is the end of the round. So we check dials. No, no, yes, blue food. Yes, filter piece. That's no here. That's sad. But red is close now, and the next round is red, so that's not horrible. That's no, yes, pearl, no oxygen. Okay. Then we gotta feed everything. Hold on, first we check here. I had, what am I looking for? Blue. 1, 2, just 3, again, not 5. He's still going first. Then we feed our fish. This is fed 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is fed 5 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is fed 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the plants don't get me anything except now we go into, I did that backwards, sorry. I should have gotten income first because I can use the income food to pay for fish, but that's fine. So I got a green food and 3 oxygen. 1, 2, 3 oxygen and 1 green food. I really need to place something out that uses green food, but there's nothing. These cards are not giving me any green food. Checking here, this one didn't move, so it gets a pearl placed on it. Everything else, this one also didn't move, so it gets a pearl placed on it. This goes to gray, this goes to gray, this goes to gray. We flip to nothing. Cards go away. Come on, cards that take green food. 1, 2, 3. I'd love a clownfish or an anemone that uses green food. So far, still nothing. Nope. All right, well, that's sad. But it still might be worth taking cards to trade them in for pet shop track stuff. All right, then at this point, this is also when I cross my fingers that they don't get rid of one of the cards that I want them not to get rid of. Because I really want green and clownfish, but I'm sure they're going to take one. And they took away, oh great, they took away rows and columns. So I got to hustle to get some of those cards. I can do that with one more token placement here, which I can easily do here with a clownfish either way. Also, I am one space away from picking up a lionfish on this track as well, so that's a big yay. These get reshuffled. And AI is going first this round. Flipping over the first tile is a fish placement. So they go all the way over here, rotating once. Now, I need to pay attention. I do have blue food for that one. I need double yellows. So placing over here some stuff is going to be important. But not yet, because I need to put an anemone here, and I want to put fish somewhere near there. Ah, a fish could do it. This fish is exactly what I want, but this is only a one rotation. Anyway, we'll see. That could be a good thing. Okay, that's 5. That would be 3, means I need 8 oxygen. That's only 6. Can get an oxygen that way. I think I might come here, get an oxygen. I'm still one short. I might have to come here, 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 and then maybe back here to do something. That's a good question, but yes, I want cards. So I am going to take an oxygen from that placement, rotating there. And I have some pearls to spend, so I think I'm going to spend them. And then, I don't really need any of this stuff. Is it worth spending 2? No, because I don't have any pearls on these tokens, and I'm not going to have a chance to get more pearls here. Unless I come to the middle first, and then this, maybe. Because taking 3 cards now makes this action easier too. Because that'll get me more stuff too. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Again, I don't know that I'm very good at this game, so I apologize while I'm playing, but I think I'm going to do that. Okay, then I need to take 3 cards. And most likely they're throwaways. Trying to think. I want another clownfish for here that's not blue or green. No, doesn't matter if it's blue. Not green. I mean, there are no clownfish. All right, so then I might as well take something I don't care about. This is going to be one of the cards I get rid of. Filling that in. Still no green food. So I'm going to take this anemone. Filling in. Ooh, that's a clownfish with yellow and green food. I'm going to take that. And replacing that, I also get 3 food. I want 2 yellow. Because I see more yellow coming out. And I want a blue just in case. Yeah. And I get 2 points. 1, 2, like that, up to 20 points. AI takes their second turn, moving clockwise, which means they are going here, which is sad because I lose that and this rotates. Grr. But now is when I need to pay attention. All right, so I have 7 oxygen. If I come here now, if I come here now, I have no pearls. I need pearls, but I need oxygen. I can't do both. But this guy is a clownfish that only 3 minus 1 is 2. This works with that. So I need to get a pearl somehow. Which means I am coming here, and I'll get 2 of these, because it's a pearl, one of those, plus the one I always get to get my pearl. Yeah. Okay. AI takes 3 is 2 oxygen. So they're going up here and rotating. So I will come here for sure, getting a free food. Let me start thinking about what I'm doing. This yellow and green goes there. This blue goes there. I don't need any food at the moment. But I will need lots of yellow next turn. So let's start taking some yellow. And then I get to place out, if I use this pearl, 2 fish. And one of them is going to be a sea anemone. Oh, wait a minute. I could place this green one. 2 rotation and a token, which is great because this is getting close. Because this one just gets me 5 rotation, which is cool to get bonuses. But the green token, but that's just food. Red tokens are cards and triggers. Blue token's really what I want, but that's a 4. Or 3 if it's next to an anemone. And I have 7, so 3 and 4 would work. And that's another green card. And that maxes out this. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so this goes there and costs me 4 oxygen. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. I get to rotate twice here, and we're looking to get to red. Yeah, sorry, this should have flipped over. We're looking to get to red from here. If I do that, I get red on a pearl. Let's do that. And then I can either take a pearl and a blue food or a green token. I want a green token, and I want to gather more yellow food. That also triggers the lionfish. So now I get a lionfish. Right now I have 2 clownfish. I'm about to place a 3rd. I have 2 green cards, and I will likely have more. Yeah, either one is good. Let's take the clownfish card, and that means I immediately place it out. And he doesn't need to be next to anything. And it rotates once. If I put that here, then I can rotate that to red, and that is good enough. And then he'll score at the end of the game, but that's fine. I get to place out 1 more fish, and I get to take a food, I believe. I don't think I did that. Or did I take a pearl and rotate? I don't think so. Let me check. Okay, so yes, checking, I did take the food, I just didn't rotate, but placing out my 2nd fish. I have 3 oxygen left. Means I could put this red one or I could put this blue one, but I'd rather have points here, so I'm gonna place the blue one first. It is a 4, but if I put it next to an anemone, which I will do by placing it here, no, hold on. There gets a 3 rotation, but this is already red, and this is just 1 away from red. How about over here? Yeah, that's better, because that'll get me a filter placement. And blue had not been touching there yet either, that's fine. So that goes there, this gets 1, 2, 3, and I will choose to place out the 3-point token there, like that. Yes, good. Good, good, good. That should be the turn. AI takes their 4th and final turn, which is the card drafting area, rotating that, killing these 3 cards. Sliding these cards down, these 3 flip over, like that. Oops, I didn't spend for that fish. My last turn, should be the pet shop, I think. Let me put out food to see what I've got. That's blue. This is yellow, yellow. This is yellow. Nobody needs any green food. They will though, I'm gonna do this one next time. I need to get rid of cards. The problem is, I don't really want to get rid of this stuff. Ah, yes I do. I got lots of green, and there's a green anemone coming. Yeah, sure. I'm going here. I will take a pearl. I'm rotating. And then I'm spending 3 cards. The only one I'm keeping is that clownfish. Ah, I don't know. He scores 2 extra points, but this is a green card, and I'm going to aim for that. Yeah, no, that one. Like that. 2, move up once here, letting me rotate something 1 time, which is gonna be this encyclopedia track, because then it is red, which is the current round color. Then I get to trigger where I am, which is here, placing 1 more of these and getting a point, like that. And then I get 3 points, 1, 2, 3, like that. And now I get to choose one of these bottom things. Well, this one isn't gonna work because it's already filled up. So I will take 1 of those, 1 yellow food, 1 card, and 1 point. And the card I'm going to take should be this anemone, because I want to put another anemone in there, I think. Yay, that fills in like that. All right, then question becomes, do I want to spend to trigger this? I can flip over this token, getting a food and a filter. But if I wait a second, actually, this is pointing to red. I'm going to get the filter anyway. So I'm done. That's my turn. Checking here. No, no, no. One filter. So I got to finish this and then I'll trigger that. One up here means I get that and I get a lionfish. So of course I want the green one. And I'm going to bury him down here, which will let me rotate one thing, which could push this to red, which means now I get a yellow food. I think. I don't know if it retcons like that, but I'm going to say that it does. Because it does say I can get them in any order. So that seems to work for me. Getting a green food. Getting one oxygen. Like that. And that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I do go first in final round. Then income. 1 green food and 3 oxygen. 1, 2, 3, like that. Scoring fish. This one gets me 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one gets me 4 points. This one 4. This one gets me 5 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one also gets me 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. All right, then before I did the feeding of fish, I forgot, trigger my filter. So I get 1 pearl. I get to take 1 card, which at this point doesn't hugely matter because I don't really like any of those cards. Let's take what the top is. Oh, it's a plant. No, thank you. I then get to move up once here, getting this, and then instantly transferring over to here, which will be at 12 points for me at the end of the game. I get 1 oxygen. I get 1 rotation and 1 point, so I'll take the point and rotate something. Now I am trying to get to yellow next round, so I'll do this one. Like that. And I get a yellow food, and I get 3 points. 1, 2, 3, which now places my 50 out. So I'm at exactly 50 points right now. And I score for oxygen, which is another 2 points, like that. All right, now we are checking here. This is 3, 3. Ah, this is still at 1. So that's going to go there, and I'm not going there because I'm done on that track anyway, but that turns to red, means everything else is gray. These flip to nothing again. These all go away. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 like that. I'm going first. This flips. I need to get things to yellow. I have 5 oxygen. If I want to play these 2 cards, I need 3. And if I put this next to an enemy, 4. So I need 7. So I need 2 more oxygen somehow. So I can't come here yet. I don't need cards. Yeah, I'm kind of out of stuff to do. I might just fill in plants to fill in plants. This is 1 for sure. This could be 1 for sure. So 1, 2. If I go 1, 2, 3, 4, that might be the right option. Let's try it. I go here, and I'm going to put in a filter. I don't think I want more oxygen, but I might as well because I got lots of pearls. So I'm going to take 4 oxygen. 1, 2, 3, 4 oxygen. Like that is my turn. And this rotates. AI takes their turn. They are going counterclockwise. Good for them. This goes here, that rotates, these go away. So I'm coming to the middle. The question is, what am I doing? I'm going to place these 2 cards. So taking more than 2, I don't need to. I definitely get this. I could get 1 more, but, hold on, he went there, so he should have gone up 2 to the right. It's not going to matter because I'm already off, but 1, 2, those are gone. What am I doing? Let me check food. That's a yellow. I don't have a blue. That's 2 yellow. This is a green and a blue. Oh no, that's 2 green, that's good. I need 2 more blues. And I got a lot of green. So I could get some blue food, although I'm gonna get food when I come and get cards over here, probably. Yeah, but, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna take a pearl and one of these guys, like that. Okay. AI's second turn is staying where it is, moving up 2 more times. So they'll go there, but it's not going to matter because, again, the AI doesn't score anything. And that's 2 for them. That rotates again. I come here, which gets me a pearl or an oxygen. I want the pearl. That rotates. Now the question is, do I push to get an extra 2 points? Because I have 4 pearls. And 4 pearls would get me 3 cards and 3 points, which is what I want to do. But I could potentially get a pearl here. No, but I'd rather focus on that. Yeah, let's just take 3 cards, spending no pearls. Huh? That's 4. Yeah, that's 4. Never mind. I'm not spending anything. I'm taking 2 cards and 1 food. I definitely need a blue. Because I should point out here, and I will have left it in the subtitles, I forgot to mention it ahead of time, anytime I can't feed a fish, I lose 4 points. So I want to make sure that doesn't happen. And 2 cards will be another clownfish. I think, yes. And it doesn't matter because I'm not going to be able to play all this stuff anyway. But let's take another green plant just in case I decide to place out green instead to save some oxygen. All right, well, at the very least, I'm spending 3. 1, 2, 3 to place this anemone here, which lets me move this and this 3 times. That gets me a filter. Yeah. 1, 2. That was 2. 3. Now I can do that again and get a filter, or I can place red. Red doesn't work, so I get a filter, and I do that again. Yep, that's that. That's 1. Oh wait, what am I doing? I'm not placing anything. I'm skipping ahead to my next turn. Hold on, slow down. That comes off. That's a mistake. This goes back to red. This goes back 1, 2 there. No, not that one. 1, 2 to red there. Yes. Slow down. What I should be doing is taking 2 food. So that's a mistake. I do want a blue. For that one. And I don't really care what other food. I'll just take another yellow. Yes. Okay. Getting ahead of myself. AI's third turn is to go to the middle, yay, and go up on here, but nothing happens. Sorry, that's 3. Then my last turn is coming here, which means I just got that one. I didn't get it yet. I just got that one. Now I spend 4 pearls. Rotating this, I get 3 points. 1, 2, 3 points. And I play 3 fish, or 3 aquarium cards. But let me see what's happening first. This for sure goes here. Which means, yeah, 1, 2, 3 like that. And then I place out a filter, and I turn that 1 more time, like that. That's fed. That's my first card. My second card is absolutely this green clownfish, which goes there. We're looking for yellow, which is great because that turns there. And I take a card, which I don't really care right now. But let's do that. And I have to spend 4 for that one. I already paid for this last time. I forgot to undo it. 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. So I have 2 left to spend, which could be another clownfish or could be another green card. It doesn't matter either way. Except that it will matter because the higher this goes, the more oxygen. The difference is a clownfish will score me 5 points. This plant will score me 3 points. But if I put this here, it's going to be but that finishes a column anyway. But that's going to give me minus 4 points. I do get 3 oxygen though, so I will go back up to nothing. But 1, 2, 3 oxygen is 2, plus 3 is 5 points. That's 5 points without spending. Yeah, that's better. So this plant goes there. Rotating twice, this one's already at yellow. So just once like that to yellow. Oops, I think I rotated that the wrong way. Then that's that. That was 1, 2, 3. I'm done. These slide off. I get a pearl and a card, which right now doesn't matter because cards don't mean anything. I go up here, but I can't. I get an oxygen. I rotate one thing and get a point. My one thing is this one becomes yellow and a point. I get a yellow food, which I don't need at the moment, but it's extra food. And I get 3 points. 1, 2, 3. I am out of the red. That's a 0, but that's fine, so we're good. AI takes their last turn, which doesn't matter. They come here. This rotates there. That is the end of the round. So now I go back into here and check all of these things. Now remembering, on the 4th turn, as we see here, I can score 2 points per dial instead of doing whatever it shows. And I don't need any more food because everything is fed. And I've already got 2 sets of 3, and these score points for sets of 3. So I might as well convert everything into 2 points. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 3 is 15 points. So 9 and 5 is 14, and 10 is 24. Then order doesn't matter anymore. Income. I've got 1 green food. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 oxygen. 1, 2, 3, 4 oxygen. Then we're feeding. This is 3 points. 1, 2, 3. Nothing, nothing. This one is fed for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is fed for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is fed for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is free for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is fed for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one is fed. Sorry, I forgot to put it out. Blue is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Flipping this over to 100. We're at 103. Nothing, 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 nothing. Good. That triggers the end of the game. We move into final scoring again, bringing out this so we can see what we need to score. First thing, anything that's left here is a point. I don't have any. Any pearls that I have left are a point, so that's 1 point. 104. Next, we look at the oxygen track. I'm scoring 5 points for that level. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Then 3, I'm scoring based on this, which I did finish first, so that's 12. 1, 2 is 11, and 10 is 21. 3 food is 1 point. I've got 6 left. That's 2 points. 1, 2. Rows and columns. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 times 3 is 12. 1, 2, and 10 is 35. These guys I didn't spend at all, so 3, 6, 9, 12. 1, 2, and 10 is 47. Lionfish. This scores per green. 1, 2, 3, 4 times 3 is 12. 1, 2, and 10 is 9. But now that's a 159. Like that. This guy is scoring on clownfish, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Times 3 is 12. 1, 2, and 10 is 21. Anemone score 3 points per clownfish. I've got this guy who's got 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to sort of flip them as I do it for right now. So that's 1, 2, 3 is 9 points. So that goes up to 30. This one has 1, 2, 3 as well. And of course, I can't get my fingernails under there. There we go. That's going to score 9 as well, which is 39. And then this one over here, which I don't need to flip because I'm going to undo everything in a minute, is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now, having done that, I need to unflip them anyway because I need to have them there for scoring my plants. Each plant scores 1 point for 2 different colors next to it, 3 points for 3 different colors, and 6 points for 4 different colors. Mine are on the edges, so I'm not getting any 6-pointers, but this guy's got pink, red, green. That's 3. 1, 2, 3. This guy has yellow, blue, blue. That was a mistake, but that's still 2 is 1 point. This one's got green and blue is 2 for 1 point. And I think I had one more here is green, yellow, pink for 3 points. 1, 2, 3. And that gets me up to 203 points. That is hugely better than I've ever done before on this game. So I apologize in advance if that means I cheated in any case along the way. And I say hugely, but going back and looking at my score, actually my previous score was 190, so 203 is not that much higher, but it is still higher. And with that, the way the solo mode works is there is a scoring threshold in the rule book. So looking up at that chart with a score of 203, and now we are playing in advance, so I'm looking at the numbers in the parentheses, I have reached great score. That's only 6 points, no, 7 points away from an excellent score. Very well done, very happy because again, nice score is the highest I've ever reached before. I'm very glad to have gotten that on camera. That is Aquaria. So while we're here, I do like to take a look at the components. And while the game doesn't look bad per se, I don't necessarily love the way it looks. It's kind of, I don't know, there's just something about it that looks kind of blah or drab in some way. But again, it's not horrible by any means. And I do sort of like the sciencey theme of it. This does look like an aquarium. This does look like a sort of encyclopedia that's open to a page about coral. I'm not quite sure what this mechanical structure is, but you do see that if I slide down like this, it does line up to the side of the board, which thematically, or not thematically, but visually looks kind of nice. I do like these dials quite a bit because there are, again, holes in the board and they do stay in there and they do rotate quite nicely. And I do also enjoy the artwork on the cards because they are quite beautiful. And it's hard to tell. I think they're paintings, but they look very, very photographic. So I can't tell if they're photographs or paintings, but in any case, they look really nice. Yeah, maybe they're a photograph with some kind of filter on them. In any case, they look very nice. But in terms of the quality of the components, I do have to say I'm a little bit disappointed in this game. The punch board on everything, it's going to be hard to show this on camera, but it's a little bit thin. It's not the thickest that I'd like to see, especially in sort of this board. I'm just worried that setting this up and playing with this, it might sort of bend and break, especially with all of these open areas. And it's hard to show on camera now that these are open and flat on the board, but I do have to say that when you open up these boards, I'm pushing pretty hard now, and that's pretty angled still. I kind of really have to push and then sort of back bend it to make them lay flat. So I don't know if something happened with the lamination of the paper on the backside of the board being slightly too tight, but I am really worried that these sort of edges are going to split or start ripping a little bit as I push. The other thing is these cards are some of the thinnest, flimsiest cards I think I've ever seen in any game, which is really unfortunate because, again, they are very pretty artwork or pretty photographs, if that's what they are. Really nice little illustration on the back of them, but the quality of the cards is just super flimsy. And when you've got a big deck this thick of these flimsy cards, it does feel a little bit concerning when I'm shuffling that something might get bent, and I think I might have to sleeve these cards if this game stays in my collection. So it's not a giant negative because everything is readable. The iconography on the game is very nice. It's very easy to score. It's very easy to follow. It's very easy to understand. So
from a user interface kind of perspective, everything is nice. It just doesn't immediately strike me as, wow, this game looks really nice. And again, some of the component quality is a little bit lesser than I would like, but that is that. Just to show you quickly the other two player colors, you've seen that white and red are the player colors I played with in this video this time. But the other colors are this sort of light blue and bright green color. Nice colors. I don't know how well they stand apart if you have red-green color blindness, for example, but they are quite distinct, at least for my eyes, looking at them. And again, these dice don't ever get rolled. These are just sort of markers to keep track of how many turns you've taken in a given round. I'd also normally like to show you the insert for the game, but again, this game is just a big empty box. There is no insert at all. The game does come with bags to store everything in, but again, these bags are some of the thinnest plastic that I've sort of ever seen in bags, and I'm not sure how long they last. Now, luckily, as a gamer, and I'm sure many of you are the same way, I've got a drawer full of other bags, so I can very easily swap them into something else. But I was a little bit disappointed with how flimsy those bags were in the box, particularly because there is no insert of any kind in there. So that's basically all I have to say about the components. Maybe back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the game itself.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. I do apologize for the small mistakes, rules misses along the way. I do think I caught everything and put them into the subtitles, so the gameplay should stand as a good representation of the game, but it does mean that that final score was probably a bit lower than it turned out at the end. Still, did get to show off some nice combos in the game, so I am still pretty happy with that playthrough, but let's get into my thoughts on the game. So here is another game from Tomáš Holek, a name that you might be familiar with a bunch of his games. He seems to be very prolific these days with lots and lots of new designs coming out, but this is a name that I first encountered in the game SETI, or from the game SETI from CGE that I did cover last year, and was one of the games that I loved very, very much last year. Super cool, very variable Euro-style game that really, really grabbed me, and I still really enjoy playing, and I can't wait to take a look at the expansion 4. But anyway, what that means is from that game I got quite interested in the designer himself, Tomáš Holek. So I decided I wanted to try more of the games that he's designed now to see if maybe his style is something that connects well with me, that I can continue enjoying all of the stuff that he's been putting out. So you'll see behind me right now, I've got two that I'm working on. Aquaria, the one that I'm talking about right now, is the one that I'm bringing to the channel first, but I do want to eventually, very soon, hopefully, have a video for Galileo as well. I've got the expansion Luna for that as well, so I do want to dig into that quite a bit more before I come to the channel with my thoughts on both that and its expansion. In any case, we are talking about Aquaria. In this case, I should point out here that this is a Delicious Games game, which means this is Vladimír Suchý's company. So this game, while being a Tomáš Holek design, was also developed by Vladimír Suchý, and the solo mode here is also Vladimír Suchý, and I just want to point that out because that might sort of lean into or sort of direct the sort of style of the game and the way that the game plays, because it will be sort of a mixture of these two designers. And it's also worth pointing out because I actually have never played any other Vladimír Suchý game, so I can't really make comparisons to that as well or either. But let me dig into what this game is, and then I'll sort of fill in my thoughts as I go along. This game at its heart is sort of an action selection, resource management, sort of tableau building, engine building kind of game where the main focus is you developing an aquarium. You're gathering a bunch of fish, you're placing those fish into your aquarium, you're feeding those fish and ultimately gaining points from doing so, with a variety of other sort of tracks and things that you're going up on along the way as you're playing through. So the main sort of mechanism of the game is that you are taking 4 actions per round on a board that is a sort of circle of 5 actions with a wild action per se in the middle of this board. And you're moving around the board, and you can move anywhere you'd like to. It's kind of worker placement-esque, except you're never blocking off any spaces, aside from sort of messing with the bonus actions you might be receiving as you go to those locations. So it is more of an action selection game, and a la something like Scythe, you're never allowed to take the same action 2 turns in a row. So you're sort of bouncing around from action to action as you're taking your turns, with the caveat that, or with the bump that, if you move from an action to an adjacent action, so from the center to any of the 5 actions, or from action to action along the sort of circle in either direction, you will receive some kind of bonus action in addition to the main action that you're playing into, which sort of is an interesting twist right off the bat, because what this means is you're not just taking the actions you want to take. The timing and the order of the way that you take these actions is meaningful, because depending on when you get to those actions and how you get to those actions means the path that you're taking to get there, you might be picking up other stuff along the way that might sort of help cascade into more powerful actions as you bounce around this action board. But in any case, on your turn, you're selecting an action and you're taking that action. And again, there are 5 main actions in the board, and that center space is basically allowing you to the basic version of any of those 5 actions. So I want to focus on 3 of them at first, because those 3 sort of set up the sort of main flow, the main core of the game, and that is the stuff that involves the aquarium. So in this game, you will be collecting fish, or I say fish cards, but sort of aquarium cards, because they're plants and sea anemone and fish of different kinds that you will then later be placing into your aquarium. But in order to place these fish into your aquarium, you will need to have a certain amount of oxygen to place them out. And then later on, in order to score points from the fish that you've placed into your aquarium, you're going to have to pay varieties of different kinds of fish food, yellow, blue, or green fish food in this case, to score these different fish. But also sea anemone will also occasionally need food as well. In any case, the first action I should talk about is just drafting cards. So there is a marketplace of cards out on the table, and by going to the draft action, you are allowed to draft cards from the table, and as part of that action, you will also be taking a number of food tokens or food pieces of the color of your choice in that same action. So it's sort of draft cards and take food action. And it's worth pointing out that each of these action locations has sort of 3 levels of action. The first one is being free. The second one will cost 1 pearl token, and the third one will cost a various sort of number of pearl tokens, anywhere from 2 to 4, depending on which action you're at. So in this case, based on the number of pearl tokens you spend, you will be able to draft, I believe, 2, 3, or 4 cards. I could be getting that wrong, but an increasing number of cards, and likewise an increasing of number of food, which I believe is 1, 2, and 3. And then the highest leveled action spot on this spot will be giving you an additional number of points. I think it's 2, but I'm not quite sure. In any case, you're getting cards and food at this location. So this is just a way to get the stuff, get the resources you need for later on to do the other things that you need to do. Another space that's similar to this is the oxygen space. And by placing on the oxygen space, you will be receiving an amount of oxygen. And oxygen, again, is the resource you need to spend in order to place most of these aquarium cards into your aquarium. So by going to the oxygen space, you're simply getting a number of oxygen. Again, depending on how many pearls you spend, you get different levels of oxygen added to your oxygen track. And then finally, the third one that sort of ties into this grouping of spaces is the space where you go to place fish into your aquarium. And again, at this location, depending on the number of pearls you spend, will dictate the number of cards you place into your aquarium. And this is going to be sort of the main, or at least one of, but basically the main action of this game is slotting these cards into your aquarium, because you're scoring a variety of different ways by placing these fish into your aquarium. First things first. Again, you spend a number of oxygen to place things into your aquarium, although that's not always true, because the plant cards are free to place in your aquarium, because the plant cards are actually going to generate oxygen either when placed or later on at the end of every round. There is a sort of income phase, and during that income phase, the plants are generating oxygen. So instead of needing to go take actions to gain oxygen, if you have plants in your aquarium, they are helping to generate oxygen. You don't need to add it into the aquarium to place these fish. So placing out plants is generally free, whereas placing out fish and anemone will cost a variety of different levels of oxygen. And when you place these cards in, it's sort of a gridded square grid or rectangular grid in your aquarium, and you're putting these fish anywhere you'd like to, or placing these cards anywhere you'd like to, except that along the bottom edge and along the, right edge of the player board, this way on your screen, is a set of dials. And each of those dials is associated with some kind of resource or some kind of gain that you will potentially get at the end of the round. So some of them will give you food, a yellow food, a blue food, a green food. One will give you oxygen, one will give you pearl. One will give you a filter piece, which I'll explain a little bit later. One of them will allow you to move up on the encyclopedia track. Again, I'll explain that a little bit later. One of them will allow you to draw a card. And the way that works is each of these dials has 4 colors around it in some order. And every round that you're playing, there is going to be a sort of chosen color for that round. And at the end of the round, any of these dials that are pointing to the correct color for the round will generate whatever the bonus is. And I mention this here because when you're placing the cards into your aquarium, you're going to be able to rotate a number of dials or a number of sort of quarter turns of the dials based on the card that you're placing. And most of these cards will allow at least 1 rotation, up to I think 3 or 4 if you have multiple rotations on the same card. And basically wherever you place that card, generally the rotations must happen to the dial that's in the same row and the same column as the card that you've placed out. So you're placing these fish or these cards first off in a location to hopefully sort of manipulate the specific dials that will be able to turn to the color you want to, because the colors on these, the order of the colors on these are not always the same, right? So some of them will be easier to change to the right color, while some of them will take more moves or more rotations to get to the colors you want them to. So slotting these cards into the right place is the sort of first step to manipulating these dials to get the most bonus you can at the end of each round. But also where you're placing them is going to determine scoring. Because, for example, there are 2 types of fish, clownfish and sort of school fish. And the school fish are going to score points at the end of the game based on sort of large groupings, orthogonally adjacent groupings or chains of these school fish. And the clownfish will be placed next to, or should be placed next to, sea anemone. And sea anemone will score points based on all of the clownfish that are orthogonally adjacent to that card. Whereas the clownfish, when placing them into the aquarium sort of originally, the cost of oxygen will be decreased by 1 for every sea anemone that is adjacent to that clownfish as it's played into your aquarium. So you're trying to sort of connect clownfish and anemone, and you're trying to connect or chain together these big chains of schoolfish. But then also plants, if you're playing on the advanced scoring, which I'd probably recommend, plants will score points based on the number of any card of different colors that are surrounding that card. So based on how many different colors of card are orthogonally adjacent to that plant card, you will score a number of points at the end of the game. So as you're slotting these things in, you're thinking about where you put the card to rotate the dials that are adjacent or sort of lined up with the square that you're putting into. Then you're thinking about making sure the cards are adjacent to things so that the oxygen cost might decrease, so that you're maximizing point scoring, and so that you're sort of filling things in as necessary. I should mention there is another type of fish that I'll talk about later. Well, I could talk about it now and bring it back again later, and those are lionfish cards. Each game there will be a number of lionfish cards dealt out at the start, not in the market, but separately from the market. And there are a variety of different triggers on the game board and the player board that will allow you to draft up to 2 of those per game. And the lionfish will not score per round. They score at the end of the game, but they're going to give you some kind of sort of goal scoring to score on. They will all give you a sort of flat 6 points, or they will score points per something. So color of a specific colored card in your aquarium, or a specific type of fish in your aquarium, or rows and columns filled in your aquarium, and so on. So they give you another goal to focus on while you're slotting these cards into your aquarium, which is sort of helpful in planning where these cards go along the way as well. So again, this is sort of the main core of the game. Getting oxygen to be able to afford to place fish into your aquarium, getting food to make sure you can feed those fish, because at the end of the round, any fish has a score in the top left corner, your side top left corner, may or may not have food associated with it on the card. And generally, the higher the point value, the more food that fish requires. Some fish will score for free with no food. Some fish require 1 food and some require 2. But the point is you need to be able to feed all of those at the end of the round to score those points. Otherwise, you actually lose 4 points per card that you can't sort of supply food to. And the plants don't score points and they don't require any food, but they are generating oxygen. And we'll come back to this idea of sort of income at the end of every round. But in addition to building out this aquarium, you're kind of also trying to supply yourself and educate yourself on this idea of building out an aquarium. So there are two other actions on the board, and that is the encyclopedia track and the pet shop track. The encyclopedia track, you just go to the space and you move up on this sort of branching path on the main game board that is the encyclopedia open to 2 pages. And it's sort of a branching track that you're going to move along because at certain spaces along that track there are tokens there that will give you a sort of one-time use bonus. When you land there, you get the token, and from that point forward, you can use that bonus once at any point during your turn. Or if you decide not to use those bonuses, those will be worth 3 or 4 points, depending on the bonus at the end of the game for any of those that haven't been used. But also, each of the spaces on the encyclopedia track also has a sort of innate bonus to it, and there's a specific kind of action that can be triggered through other bonuses that will trigger whatever that bonus is of the space your piece is currently on in the encyclopedia track. It's also worth mentioning that this is kind of a race aspect to the game, because as soon as you get to the last space on the encyclopedia track, and I say last space because all of these branching paths eventually connect back together at a single space at the top. But when you get there, you come off of the board, and then you're sort of ranked by the order that you came off the board to give you a certain number of end game points. So whoever finishes this track first gets lots of points, and next gets a little bit less points, and so on. So you are trying to race to get to the end of this track to score a bunch of points, in addition to picking up all of the bonuses that you're picking up along the way. And again, the way the action space works is the standard action is moving up once on this track, then you can spend pearls to move up multiple times on the track for a single action. Then, the final action space is the pet shop. And the pet shop is interesting because it gives you something else to do with the cards that you're collecting instead of placing those cards into your aquarium. Because at the pet shop, you can discard 2 cards of the same color or 3 cards of the same color. And this is the biggest mistake I made in my video, and I apologize. The cards do all need to be the same color when you're discarding for the pet shop track. But if you spend 2 cards or 3 cards, you will move up to the next level. It's a 4-leveled sort of track on the main game board. And you'll move up to the next level. And each of these has a sort of main bonus that you're going to get when you trigger that level. And in addition to that, if you did spend the 3 cards instead of the 2, you will also be given the choice of 2 other sort of minor, not necessarily minor because they're pretty powerful, but sort of secondary abilities or bonuses from that track you move up to. And this is going to do a variety of different things, allowing you to get different resources, pushing you up the encyclopedia track, triggering the filter, which I haven't talked about yet, as well as filling in bonus slots on the filter. So I will come back to the filter in just a minute. But the point is, moving up this pet shop track gives you a bunch of stuff for, not for free because you're paying for it with cards, but give you a bunch of stuff for a single action. But remembering, you have to sacrifice cards, meaning those cards then do not make it into your aquarium and then do not score at the end of every round or at the end of the game for placement. So it is a trade-off, but it's a good trade-off very often because that pet shop track gives you lots of stuff in a single action. And that pet shop track, I believe on the 3rd level, is one of the spaces where you can get one of the lionfish cards. There are a couple of spots up near the top of the encyclopedia track so that regardless of which path you take up the track, you will trigger one of those as another potential spot to get a lionfish card. And another one is in this filter. So I keep coming back to this filter, so let me go here and talk about the filter. On your player board, there is a filter, and it's sort of 2 spaces. The top space is a bunch of empty slots, and the bottom space is a bunch of different kind of empty slots. And what that means is the top space, as you're placing out fish, some of them will give you the ability to place in these tokens in those slots, as well as when you go up the pet shop track, and I believe potentially some of the bonuses on the encyclopedia. I don't remember offhand right away, but the point is, as you're doing other actions in the game, some of those actions will allow you to place out these tokens. And the tokens come in a variety of different colors because those other bonus actions will sort of occasionally dictate which color of token you have to choose, whereas some of them will just allow you to take any of these tokens. But these tokens are going to do things like give you food, give you points, give you oxygen, allow you to rotate a dial, and so on. And as you collect these, they fill in these sort of slots in your top half of your filter. And one of those slots does have a lionfish card, so when it fills in, that's the other way you can draft a lionfish card. So there are 3 ways to get them, but you can only ever have 2 in any play. But the point is, this filter fills in, and this is sort of one of the big engine building pieces of the game in addition to your aquarium. And that is because the bottom half of the track just fills in with filter tokens. And the filter tokens are also something you're going to collect as a bonus through many of the other actions, as well as anytime you take the center board action, you will get an additional filter token. And when that bottom half fills up with 5 filter tokens, they get cleared and you trigger all of the abilities or all of the bonus tiles that you've placed in that top half of the filter. So the longer the game goes on, the more stuff you fill in here. Every time you trigger that filter, you get a bunch of bonus actions all in a row, and it leads to some pretty large combos because some of those things may trigger other things that trigger combos, and it cascades and it builds and builds and builds, and that gets bigger and more powerful again as the game progresses. And you are playing over a series of 4 rounds in the game, and in each round you will be taking 4 actions, and in between each round, you're going to do a bunch of different things. And the first thing you're going to do is check those dials and get any bonuses if they match the color of that round. And then you will get income. So some of the fish, or sorry, some of the aquarium cards, I keep going back to fish, but plants and anemone as well, will give you income. The plants are often generating oxygen, and this is going to be one of your main sources of oxygen in the game, is your income oxygen from your plants. But then other things will also potentially give you income, like things like food and potentially encyclopedia track. I'm sorry, I don't remember, but there are a variety of different income icons on the cards. And those don't get scored when, or they don't get earned when the card is played into your aquarium, but later on at the end of every round during this income phase, anything that has an income printed on it will come to you. So you're gonna get extra food and you're gonna get extra oxygen. And it's worth mentioning that it happens here because the next step after collecting income is going to be the step when you need to feed the fish and gain points for the fish that you fed, or lose points for the fish that you didn't feed, which means if you generate enough food in your income phase, you can use that instantly to then pay for the fish scoring at the end of that round. And then after that, you're sort of resetting for the next round. All of the dials, I didn't really mention this, but I told you when you go to an action space, there are bonus actions. Every time you take a bonus or don't take a bonus if you didn't move to an adjacent space, the dial turns to the next bonus on that track. So this is why timing matters a bit, because the bonuses are going to change as people are taking turns. And at the end of every round, those are going to reset. And the one or ones that have moved the least far, that haven't moved much, will get reset all the way back. And everything else will be reset back to almost all the way, one space forward of all the way back. And that's because the space that's all the way back will be a very extra powerful bonus. So you're sort of being pushed to take the actions that you haven't taken before. And in fact, if there's any action that wasn't taken at all in the round, you will also place a pearl on that, making that action even more important. So it does sort of push you to think about taking actions differently every round so that you're maximizing these bonuses as much as possible, while also pushing you to sort of jump around from space to space, chaining these bonus actions as much as possible to get as much extra stuff as possible so that you can accomplish as many things as possible along the way. But in any case, you're playing out over 4 rounds, taking 4 actions each round, scoring in these ways that I've mentioned, and then finally at the end of the game you will score additionally based on any oxygen you have left, any pearls you have left, or any filter tokens that are still in your filter at the bottom of the filter, score 1 point each. For every 3 food you have left after feeding in the final round, you'll score 1 point. Your oxygen is a sort of track, and I didn't mention this before, but this track also scores every time you trigger that filter ability chain. The oxygen has sort of values printed next to each level of oxygen, and that's the score you will score when you trigger the filter and at the end of the game. And it's worth mentioning that the bottom 3 slots, means 0 oxygen, 1 oxygen, and 2 oxygen, have negative point scoring. So you do want to make sure you're kind of always holding oxygen when these things trigger. Then this is also when you're going to score, you'll score based on complete rows and columns in your tank. So you are trying to fill in as many sort of vertical and horizontal rows and columns as you can while you're placing on cards. Another sort of goal or focus when placing those cards into your aquarium. And then you're going to score, of course, based on the anemone next to clownfish. You're going to score based on the plants that are connected to other variety of different colors. And you're going to score based on the chains of fish that you've placed out, the schools of fish that you've placed out that connect together on your board. So there's all of this stuff sort of working together, lots of different tracks that combo with other tracks, lots of different ways to score points, and the way that all of these things combo together and the decisions on which actions to take and when to take the actions and how to manage the resources, the oxygen you need to spend to put the cards into your aquarium, the food you need to spend to score those cards in your aquarium, how to move up the encyclopedia track faster to get those bonuses that either give you additional abilities or give you points at the end of the game, how to trigger those pet shop tracks, which cards you can sacrifice to take those pet shop actions, and which cards you want to place into your aquarium, which lionfish to sort of focus on, meaning which goals to focus on when placing fish into your aquarium. And then also focusing on that filter track, building up that engine so that every time you trigger that filter track, you get a bunch of extra stuff. All of this stuff combos together and leads into this really nice sort of open field of stuff that you have available to you to accomplish throughout the game to ultimately score the most points. And all of these things on their own are things that I enjoy, and the interaction of these things together are things that I enjoy, but somehow this game for me just doesn't work as well as it should. And I think there's a couple of things. One is sort of, it just feels kind of meh. Like there's nothing in this game that instantly stands out to me as, wow, this is a really cool challenge I need to get done. Or there's not enough sort of player power or uniqueness to each time you play the game that stands out as this is sort of the thing I want to be doing, or this is the thing that I'm good at, so let's try that. And there's definitely things that come out in the randomization of the game and the way that you get fish and the way that you get cards and the different sort of ability tokens that get placed out on the encyclopedia track and so on, the order that the actions are connected together every time. There's definitely variability, but it does still feel somewhat similar to me what I'm doing each time I'm doing it. But also it's this focus idea, and this is probably a me thing and not a game thing, but I tend to be a tactical player. I like random changes that happen to me, and I have to sort of interact and deal with them as they come out and sort of figure out the best way to do the things that I need to get done in that game. Whereas this game works more of a sort of big, long-term strategy, mostly open information kind of game where it's more about me deciding what it is that I want to get done and then figuring out how to do it. And I think it's that part of deciding what it is that I want to get done that leaves me sort of lost. I never quite know what I should be doing at any given moment in this game, and I think that's because ultimately the answer is anything I want to, and I lack the focus that I need in a game like this to sort of make it feel exciting to me. There's a lot of sort of dials and gears and things to play with in here. There's a lot of different things that you can do, a lot of different ways that you can score and do better in the game, but ultimately I never feel like I'm excited about the things that I'm doing. I'm sort of just choosing things and then looking to most efficiently maximize what I can get out of the choices I'm making. And ultimately, I think there are people who will really enjoy this game for what it is, but for me, it just doesn't ever make me feel excited. I enjoy every game. If somebody asked me to play this with them, I would absolutely play it with them, but this is not a game that's going to convince me to take it off the shelves over other things. Even from the same designer, Tomáš Holek, I'd much rather play SETI than I would to play this, and that's because, again, SETI has lots of focus. The aliens make me do things. The different kinds of things that I start specializing in early push me towards things. And this does have that in the scoring goals. And it does have that in the adjacency scoring and so on in the cards in the aquarium. But there's just not enough focus for me. There's just not enough sparkle. There's not enough special in this game to really hook me and pull me back into this game. And part of me wonders if that is because this solo and the development was done by Vladimír Suchý, and it could be that this is sort of pushing more towards the direction of his designs that, at least from my understanding, do tend to be these sort of, not complicated, but intricate, connected kind of action, bonus action, combo-y kind of things that are sort of more open world, point salad-y kinds of games. Maybe I could be completely wrong in this statement, but the point is, it could be because of his hand in this game that this became more of a Vladimír Suchý style game than it is a Tomáš Holek kind of game, and that might be why this does less for me, because I will say, a slight spoiler, Galileo Galilei, from the few games that I've played so far, is definitely much more interesting and much more exciting to me than this one is. So again, it could be that second designer's hand in things that changes the way the game feels to me, but ultimately the game leaves me wanting more. It left me feeling a little bit meh. And then add to that the solo mode. Because the solo mode in this game is a beat your own score solo mode. The AI that you're playing against isn't doing anything at all to you except that it's racing you up the encyclopedia track. So if it finishes before you do, you score less points. It's not scoring, so it doesn't matter that it gets there first. It only then matters that you're getting there second or less. So you're scoring less points if they beat you there. It's also, when it moves to the actions on the board, rotating the dial, so it is sort of taking away some of the more powerful bonuses from you, which does push a little bit more tactical thinking that would be coming out in a multiplayer game based on which of those dials are rotating and sort of your timing about when you want to go and do the things that you want to do. And that's going to be important because the AI does just jump around randomly based on a turned over tile every turn that it takes. So there's less predicting which bonuses are going to be available because you can't really predict based on previous turns what the AI is going to go to next, which you could potentially do in a multiplayer game because you're watching the patterns of the actions that your opponents are taking. So that does subtract a little bit as well. But in any case, the AI is still rotating those dials, taking bonuses away from you. They are racing you up the encyclopedia track, taking away points from you there as well. And also occasionally when the AI takes the action where they're drafting cards, while they're not actually drafting cards, it does mean they're clearing an entire row of cards. So it does push you to get the cards you want to get before that happens. Although this is another case where, aside from occasionally when there's a specific one card that I really want, it generally tends to be that there are a variety of different cards that will work well for me. So that sort of removing of cards from the market never really feels all that dangerous for me because I can sort of just readjust and go for something else. But in any case, there's a lot of really cool stuff happening here. There's a lot of really cool mechanical things going on here. The intricate comboing and cascading of combos and bonus abilities on bonus abilities really does make for interesting decisions, and there is a lot of interesting going on here, but for whatever reason, the game just kind of fell a little bit flat for me. But again, this is why I do like to show off these playthroughs on my channel, because you've now seen how the game plays. You've now heard me talk sort of intricately about how each of these things works together. So it could very well be that this game works very well for you, well, even if it is sort of blah for me. That's sort of where I land on this game. In any case, I do hope that this video was helpful for you, and I do ask again, if this video was helpful for you, please remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below, and I'll see you all next time. Hopefully soon with Galileo Galilei. Thanks.